So today's episode is about getting close to your goal, whether that is single digit body fat, a specific number, or both. My main focus for this podcast is to try out all the different diets, try out all the different hacks so you can lose the most weight possible, feel the best, the least amount of injuries, and also focusing on longevity while not giving up your social life. So I always say, that social life comes with rules, but in this episode, I want to try to get anyone who's close to getting their goal to set that right now before New Year's. And that is my goal of hitting 190 on the dot before New Year's Eve. And it's finally time to start putting in those final tweaks to my routine, yet still having a social life. So if you're interested, stay tuned. How's it going? I'm Brad Williams, personal trainer and host of Over 40 Fitness Hacks, the podcast where I help you being over 40 to fight the aging process without giving up your social life. I've been a personal trainer and gym owner for over 15 years, and I've seen it all. If any of you in the audience need a little bit of help, I always put the link in my show notes for a free 15-minute consultation just to see if I can't point you in the right direction. Other than that, thank you for listening. I also have links to my Facebook group and a link to my favorite fitness tracker, which I talk about all the time, the Whoop 4.0. I think every single person should at least use it for a little bit to gauge how many calories you're actually burning. All those are in the show notes. Let's get on with the episode. So the last couple months, it's been hard to lose these last final pounds because, we're hitting Thanksgiving. We had Halloween, Oktoberfest, if you participated in that. I had a couple birthday parties. I had a buddy come in from Montana. My brother-in-law, who's my closest party person, is more in the mood now because of all the same things and all different parties, has been pulling me into all those. And the best I've gotten is about 193 on a Friday. The weekend hits, and by Monday I'm back up. And I'm struggling to hit new records on every Friday because of all these things I'm mentioning. Now it's time to pull in the big guns, and I wanted to talk to you about what my plans are to see if I can help motivate some of you that are out there to hit these goals before New Year's. It's not that hard. You don't have to give up your social life, or at least all of it. And here's what I got. So sticking with the same 3 workouts that I do, half-hour sessions, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, really pushing the effective reps. And what that means is the reps I decide to do, I'm pretty much going to failure. I don't care if I pick the wrong weight, I'm going to failure. And I talk about that all the time on my podcast, but it's one thing of doing it every single workout you do. And, even the best of us will just kind of get to talking to people or really not feeling it that day. Okay, I did a pretty good job, but I'm just not going to push it all the way. And I'm not talking about tearing up your muscle. Remember, my whole style of workout is time under tension. You're already cutting the weight in half that you used to do. You're doing it very slow, but you need to burn it out. Make that workout count. So the only thing I'll be adding on top of that is, all my cardio or movement that I'm doing through the week. Kind of been getting lazy and just basically doing Tuesday, Thursday, maybe Saturday, always skipping Sunday. So now mandatory is either walking with a weight vest, doing my trampolining 7 days a week, even on the days that I work out. So now I'm adding in Monday, Wednesday, Friday movement on top of my weight training. And when I usually do these movement exercises, walking, trampolining, it's 15 minutes to a half hour, same rules. It's very time efficient. Just get it done. And if you see my YouTube shorts, I did one where I showed kind of ice plunge. I have the luxury of my parents' pool who don't ever keep it heated. It gets down to close to 50 degrees, which is pretty much cold plunging. So either once a week, twice a week. And now I'm committing to all 3 days before my workout, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, to ice plunge all 3 days for 4 minutes, in which now I think is 51 degrees in their pool. And the reason I do it before the workout is to try to stimulate those longevity proteins in your body, get that fight or flight response going of, oh my God, you're dying. We need to protect this body. Allegedly, you get a little testosterone boost for you men out there before you work out. It's kind of hard to prove that without constantly checking your blood work. But what I do like about it is any soreness I had after I get out of there, gone. All my joints feel amazing. And then get in the car, warm up, go work out, and I feel like $1,000,000. Now let's move on to diet. So for diet, I talk about using nutrition trackers all the time, using the Whoop device or any other tracker you got. And it's one thing tracking your nutrition and seeing what you're deficient in, and it's one thing doing something about it. I do my best, but just the day gets by and I forgot to take enough fiber or potassium or calcium, whatever you got. And my supplement stack, I have not missed any supplements per day that I'm doing, but the stuff I've committed to for food, that's the part where I'm lacking on. So let me show you what I'm talking about on Chronometer. So here's my chronometer of just today. Nothing really special about that, but here, looking at the summaries, you can see my calories I hit. This number right here was incorrect of how many calories I burned for the day. And how do I know that? Because of my fitness tracker, the Whoop. So I tend not to go off of that. I just care what I want to do. I want to hit 1,500 calories on the dot. And you go down and all the vitamins, minerals. And so one of the ones I'm really lacking on right here, vitamin A. I've got folate under control. I take supplements for vitamin D, vitamin C, zinc, copper, calcium, right? So the ones that I fell short yesterday was vitamin A and looks like my omega-3. So I should have taken a fish oil pill that day as well. But just to show you what I've been doing. So if I'm lacking something, vitamin and mineral, not before I go to buy a new supplement, I want to try to see if I can find a natural food source. So what all I do is type in highest vitamin A foods on Google, go to images, and just start scrolling through all these pictures and just trying to see like what's something I can incorporate in my daily routine that I have no problem with that meets my low carb, somewhat keto diet. And this is a good picture I like. Well, liver, I do have these beef jerky sticks that are beef heart, beef liver mixed with a little bit of beef, all grass fed. But even in that jerky, I'm getting 10 grams of protein. The amount of vitamin A and how much little liver they're putting in there, it's just not enough. And looking at this picture over here on the right, I'm not going to be eating sweet potato, squash, spinach, and kale have high oxalates, which I don't want to have to worry about kidney stones, so I've cut that out. Lettuce, well, that's okay. I'll put lettuce in my salads, but still, it's really not that high in vitamin A. And all these fruits, I do minimal fruits, and if I do it, it's berries. So out of everything on here and all these other pictures, carrots, I have no problem with carrots, low net carbs, and by far out of everything I put back here in Chronometer for vitamin A, carrots were the number one by far per gram. And this is just showing you a handful of baby carrots crushed everything else I ate for the day. So that's the kind of fine tuning I'm talking about with using Chronometer, using your Whoop to not have to give up your social life. Another one here on the left, fiber. You see all the stuff I'm eating throughout the day. I usually have 2 rounds of vegetables, and it's still not enough for the RDA for fiber. And so I started using psyllium husk powder 1 time a day, and that definitely helps. Still not all the way there. So I need to be doing 2 rounds of that supplement. And there's just not enough time of the day or as many vegetables as I want to put that's not going to kick me out of my low net carbs that I can hit this fiber amount. So supplement is the only thing I could do for it. Easy, throw the husk powder in some water, choke it down. So next thing, my typical eating schedule is fasting all the way to 12 p.m., eating my first meal at 12, fasting all the way to 5:36 sometimes. That's my second meal. Do 2 meals a day, keeping that blood sugar and insulin response low, thus having the most opportunities to burn fat, always eating meat first, fiber and vegetables second, any carbs last. I don't really have any carbs. If I do some berry, that'll be my last thing I eat. And you want to layer it like that to get the most out of it, to get the slowest amount of absorption for those fats and carbs. But what I haven't done is on my off days of working out, Tuesday and Thursday, when I'm home doing these podcasts, going out for walks, is I'm following the same routine. And I've heard from a lot of other fasting experts that just like in your workouts, you need to shock the body. You need to shock your diet, because once your body gets used to something, all of a sudden your BMR starts going down because you get more efficient at doing it. It knows when the food's coming in. So on Tuesday, Thursday, I'm switching to as soon as I wake up at 6:30, eating my first meal, and then my second meal probably like 1 or 2 p.m. Following the same rules: protein first, fiber second, fats and carbs third. And then lastly, I just want to talk about this Whoop tracker a little bit more. I just had a guest on my show. I'll probably put it out on my podcast in about a month and a half. Wrote a book called Pulse Control, and he's a primary care physician, fitness enthusiast from Norway. And he really goes into the detail of all these trackers, not just Whoop, but the Garmin tracker he praises the most, which I understand. Never tried it. But all the same tracking was on the Whoop that he was talking about. And besides worrying about how many calories you're burning, that's my main concern on there, what your HRV score is, which is so complicated to figure out how to get that HRV score up, thus getting your heartbeat more on a metronome type rhythm. It's supposed to be better for longevity, but also just better for your bodily systems. And usually it's just sleep and diet and exercise that help the score out. But what he went into, just Cliff Note version, was that you need to start watching your stress score all day long if you really want to biohack. So obviously when you work out, do something strenuous, you're going to see that stress score go up. We know that. Then you want that coming down as fast as possible. So now after every single workout or walk that I do, it's going to be followed by 10 minutes of diaphragmatic breathing. And that's using your diaphragm to breathe instead of your rib cage to help out. Check out episode 71 with Dr. Amy Novotny on my podcast if you want to get the full details of it. And besides, after strenuous workouts, Dr. Torkel was my guest on the show. He explained that there's stuff that's out of your control that you didn't even know could raise your stress score that much. It could be some of the food that you ate in your meals. So you need to watch it after every single meal if you really want to biohack your system. Look at your sleep because that should be completely calm. Yeah, at some points, alcohol messes with the rhythm of that. Okay, that's fine. We know that. But if you start seeing anything else taking you out of that flat line at the bottom, a calm nervous system, you got to find out what's doing that. Just myself found one the other day at 3 a.m. My wife and I were trying to figure out what it was. Oh, my daughter had wet her bed, came into our room, it was a whole fiasco. Come to think of it, after looking at all the other days of my highest stress, besides workouts, it seems to be right at 8 a.m., which is when I take my daughter to school, which off. It doesn't seem like it's that stressful, but my nervous system is fried. And then even after talking to Dr. Torkel, getting off the podcast, looking at my stress score, seeing it rise just from doing the interview with him. And it was a great, fun interview. So stress doesn't have to be horrible. It could just be living life. But what I can do about it is take a break, do some breathing or calm down, do something else to get me back to a lower level and then continue on my workday. It's just, there's so many things like to work on. My podcast is dedicated to that. Let me try it first. You guys don't have the time. I got all the time in the world. I eat, sleep, and breathe fitness, biohacking safely, and then put it out on my podcast. So I think I'll end it with that. If anyone wants to do this with me, it'd be real cool if you go on my Facebook group, Over 40 Fitness Hacks. The link is in the show notes. Tell me you're doing it. We could do this together, kind of help motivate each other. But if not, thanks for listening, and I'll check you on the next one.